Howdy, 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 everybody. Welcome back to another how-to in RLC. Today I want to talk about something that I've had a lot of people ask me about and something that is one of my pet peeves. Deco 101. First off, what we're going to talk about specifically is the catching, the image catching. Some people say the image cache. As you can see here in just a second here, when you go to script, you see you got forever, per session, or never. There is a reason we have three selections. If you put it on forever, that means that prop is never going to change. That image is going to be on that prop forever. You're never going to change that prop. If you think you're going to change that prop in the future or any time, then you use per session. Now, if the prop is a small prop, don't really matter, like motorcycles. But now, here's the thing about catch forever. If you catch an image forever and that image fails to load on that user's computer, then that image will never load on that computer because it is set forever, and the RLC client thinks that that person's already loaded that image, so it's not going to try to reload that image ever again. It's just going to be a dead image. And I'm going to show you an example of that. Yes, I'm sorry, COMC and SOA, y'all are my guinea pigs today for this experiment. If you notice the loading bar down here on the screen, loading props, you see how quick it loads on certain, and then it'll stop and stall? That's because those images are already loaded, and it's finding an image that hasn't been loaded. And it'll stall for a second, and then it'll jump a little bit further, and then it'll stall again, and it'll jump again, as you'll see as we continue to watch. Now I'm running 8 gigabyte with an i5 processor. 8 gigabytes of RAM, i5 processor. So my computer is not a real weak computer. It's pretty decent. Now people that's only got like 3 gigabytes or 4 gigabytes of RAM is really, really, really going to struggle. Phew, that was a long ride. Still got a couple miles to go. All right, we're almost there. We almost got a block left. There we are. You see how some of these images load and some didn't? And I have already F5 here about 20 times, over 20. I lost count at 20. I quit counting. Now these tents right here are basic blank tents. They just got a little script on them, so they don't really hurt nothing. But you see how some of these, like this tent right here, are solid white, no textures. Well, if the RLC client tells my computer, and RLC client thinks that my computer has loaded those images, they will never ever load. They'll always be forever not loaded. And I'm going to show you. This is how I know. I can trick my computer into loading them, but if you don't have Deco at a property, then you can't do this. Catch forever. Now watch what happens when I do per session. Now it's going to stall for a minute while it finds that. There it is. Now I change it back to forever, And now my computer will load that image. Same thing here. Look at this. Forever. Change it to per session. I'm froze again for a second while it finds the image. Hey, guess what? It found the image. Click it back on forever. Now, they've only got 487 props here. I'm going to show you the difference. I have F5 over 20 times and I still got images that's not loaded. See how quick Saddlebags loads? And we've got almost 1,000 props at Saddlebags. Imagine that. And it loads every single time. And I'm going to show you why. We're almost there. $879 props. We got twice the amount of props that the Rally's got. But I've got it mixed up. Some of the props are set on forever, the ones that'll never change. Our fence, our sky is actually on per session. The parking lot's never going to change, so I've got it on forever. The bikes will change occasionally, so I've got them set on per session. Our floor inside is set on forever. This entranceway is set on per session because sometimes I change it. Our door here is forever. Our walls are forever. These signs in here and the MC signs and our sponsor signs are all set on per session. The tables are set on per session because I changed them. Our bar, the bar sides are set on forever. The bar top is set on per session. Now, if you've got a prop that you're going to turn invisible, then technically, I see right here, here's one that didn't load. And I will bet you it is set on forever. No, it's set on per session. It just didn't load. Might be one I didn't fix. Yep, that's one I didn't replace because it's still got a encrypted, different. It's like photo bucket, post image, post image. I don't use photo bucket. I don't use post image. Strongly suggest you create your own website if you want to host or find a private website. If you're going to turn something invisible, set it on never to catch. And I'm going to tell you why. Because that way the computer don't have to try, it knows it don't have to guess that. Now, when you turn it visible, like at Christmas time, we turn our wreaths to visible, then you change it to per session. Now this year when I changed our Christmas images, I didn't do all this. I didn't worry about it because we've only got like 6 props, so it don't 6 little bitty props, so it's not really going to hurt much. But if you're going to put it on invisible and leave it there, and then next year use it again, then change it to never. That way the computer knows it don't have to remember that prop. That prop don't count no more because it's invisible. You don't need it. You don't need to, the user don't need to have to load it. The bikes, the chairs, anything that might change texture-wise, signs, sky, stuff like that, if you're going to change it, put it on per session so that the computer knows, the user's computer knows that it needs to reload that every time it loads in. It will slow down load time, but it will cut down on lag, and it will keep the person from not being able to see the prop properly. Now I'm going to show you SOA Biker Fest, because they do the same thing. They put everything on forever. When you put everything on forever, people's computers will not load all of the props. And then you're going to have people come in, oh, I can't see this, I can't see that, I didn't load properly. And they got to F5 15, 20 times, or they got to come and visit 15, 20 times. And it takes the fun out of trying to go to an event. Same thing with animation. If you can get by without animation, if you're expecting a crowd of 50 or more people, do not use animation. There is an easy way to use, if you want fire, use the script for fire. Don't use an animated fire, because animation will cause lag. It draws. What you have to do, you have to understand how a computer works. A graphic card's only got like 100 megabytes on a high end. And if you've got 10 images and each image is 10 megabytes, you've done used that 100 megabytes up, because you're running 1,000 megabytes. And that person is not going to be able to load all the images. And you also have to understand how a computer and a server speak to each other. The computer requests an image from the server. It says, hey, I need to know what's on this prop. The server says, hey, all right, here you go. And it delivers the image. Now, if that image is too big, or if that computer has already told the server that it's already loaded that image, it's not going to load. And that's what happens with Forever. Forever is for limited props that are going to be forever. You're never, ever going to change them props. Now, if you're doing a rally and you put your tents in initially, use per session. Now, if you're going to have that rally on that same property every single year, then you put the tents on. Once the other MC or the business comes in and puts their props on that tent, then let them put it on forever. But here's the catch. If next year that MC is gone and somebody else uses that tent, then you got to delete that prop, because you've already set it to forever. So the computers that were here last year won't know to reload it this year, because it's already told, the computer and the server's already told each other, we know that prop. That prop's already loaded. Like these right here. I've been here every year for the last 6 years. Actually, the last 7 years. But we've only had tents here the last 5 years. This will be the 5th year. Our tent's loaded. They're set on forever. Now, if somebody else comes here and puts their tent in, there's a chance that those tents will not load. And if they don't load, then people will see this, or they will see these gray and whites over here, meaning that it did not load. I'm going to show you an example of that. We've got a charity event we do every year. Let me find it. We do a charity event. Last year was our first actual doing it for charity. 2 years before that, we only done as an awareness event. I'm going to show you the difference. I have not been here since last year. So my computer is going to try to reload everything. And like I said, just like it's saddlebags, I've got certain things set on per session. I've got certain things set on forever, and I've got certain things set on never. The never props will always be changed. They might change. I might have them one thing today. I might have it something different tomorrow. Advertising the dance team, for example. If we're going to have one dance team tonight and we're going to have another dance team tomorrow, I don't need people to have to reload that prop every time they load in. So I'm going to put it on never or per session. If it's an invisible prop and I don't want people to load it Friday night because I'm not going to use it until Sunday, then I'm going to have it on never until Sunday night. Then Sunday night, when I turn it visible, then I'm going to change it to per session so people can see that prop. That's what those three selections are for. That's the big difference between them. That's why we have three choices. One is catch forever. That prop is never ever going to be changed. You put one texture on there and it's the only texture that prop's ever going to have. Per session is for smaller props, things that will be changed or might change or maybe change. Then you want to use per session. If it's an invisible prop and you don't need it right now, put it on catch for never. That's why they are set that way. And another big thing is your prop size, and I cannot stress this enough. Optimization. There's certain sizes that work better for the computer and for the web. 1024 by 1024, 512 by 512. Now there is a big thing about those two sizes. 1024 by 1024 is a huge image. That is a huge image. That's almost a full screen image. And if you got somebody with a small basic graphics card that's built into their motherboard, and they're not running a special gaming computer with its own designated graphics card with 1 gig or 2 gigs on their graphics card, then you got 10 props that set at 1024 by 1024. You just used all their memory. Their computer's not going to handle it, and they're going to crash. And then after they crash 2 or 3 times, they're going to say, oh, I can't get in there, and they're not going to bother coming back to your event. Now, if you want to, you can use 512 by 512, 256 by 256, or even go even smaller. The smaller you go, though, it blurs out a little bit. 256 on average, 256 is as small as you want. 512 is as big, unless you're doing a big scene like the background, or you're doing a globe that's going to be around your area to make it look like the sky. Then you want to use 1024 by 1024. You use those big images on a limited scale, on a limited basis. You don't want all your images 1024 by 1024. Just like you don't want all your props set on catch forever. If you've got them all set catch forever, then there's going to be props that don't load and people are going to get tired of it and they're not going to come back. Because it's aggravating. And seriously, it is aggravating. I didn't go to none of the rallies last year. The ones that did host them. I'll go one time. If they didn't load, I went back to saddlebags. It ain't worth I'm not going to sit there and F5 20 times to try to load a property for an event that's only going to be 2 days long. It's aggravating and it's worthless. I got better things to do with my time. Seriously. And there's other people that's thinking the same thing. Unless you're paying them to come there, and then they've got no choice. They'll tolerate it to get the money. I mean, seriously. Now, this is the first time I've been to this property, and you see it's slow loading a little bit. That's because I haven't been here in a year. We held this event last year, April of last year. I have not been to this property since April. But when I load, watch how it loads. Now, there might be a few missing props, but it won't be that many. I won't have to F5 20 times. I know that. All right, we're almost there. Every time it stalls, that's an image that it's collecting from the server saying, hey, I need this image here. And the server says, okay, here you go. And once that image loads, the bigger the image, the longer it takes before the bar moves again. The smaller images will move a little bit quicker. The images that it already remembers from last year will already load, and you'll see the bar jump. We're almost there. We only got about a mile to go. And flash images are even worse. Don't use flash at all unless you absolutely. The only time you should use flash is if you have something that you are interacting with, like a game or something like that. Look at this. Almost everything loaded. Now, some of those signs I deleted because they were with Photo Bucket. I got to replace all this because we got this event starting this year as being April. And you can see some of the props didn't load, which is expected because I haven't been here in a year. Everything is set on per session because I might change it, except for the ground. The ground is forever, and so is the bushes, the dirt that the bushes is in. Now that dance floor is supposed to be forever, and it didn't load. That means it probably won't load now. Some of the tents were made forever, even though I requested people to use per session. Now look how many props we have here. Remember, there was only 400 props at the COMC rally. We've got 441 props. Now some of these images are gone because I deleted my photo bucket. We had 800 props at Saddlebags. If people had put these on per session, like I requested, they would have loaded. Well, let's go back to Biker Fest and look how many props they have. Well, let's see if anything loads that didn't load while ago. Look how fast that bar is loading. That means a lot of these images my computer thinks is already loaded because I was here last year. So a lot of these images should already be loaded in my RLC, unless you do a repair. Now, that's what happens. If your computer and the server thinks that that image is already loaded and it hasn't loaded, and you F5 20 or 30 times and it never loads, that's the only way you're going to get that prop to load is to run a repair. Delete all your temp files that RLC put on there and start with a fresh. And then you got to get everything to load again. And if it's on forever, it's going to take forever to load it. Just a heads up. And the same thing goes for club owners. If you put something on forever in your club, remember, if it don't load the first 2 times as the person's visited, it's not going to load. And then they're going to think that the prop ain't no good or your deco person ain't no good. And they're not going to come to your event because it's aggravating to try to, oh, look how pretty that is. I can't see it. It didn't load. And then you add in the avatars with the clothing, and clothing works better on 1024 by 1024, which is a big image, which is going to eat up your memory, your graphics memory. So if you're expecting 50 people and everybody's wearing clothes at 1024 by 1024, that's 50 times 1024. I see some of these props loaded because they didn't change from last year. Now, the ones that didn't load are the ones that were set forever last year and they changed this year. And they don't load. They're not going to load because my computer thinks they're already loaded. So it don't have to reload those images. It does have to reload those images. I will have to run a repair before all these images will load. And I'm not running a repair. So I don't need to run a repair. I'm not going to run a repair. Because then I've got to go to all my properties and redo every one of my properties, reload every one of my properties. And I've got over 1,000 properties. I'm not doing all that. People need to learn how to do proper deco. Use forever only if that prop is never going to change. Use per session on the props that will change. $631 props. They've still got less props than we've got at saddlebags. Saddlebags will load quick because I've got it well balanced. You have to find that balance between forever and per session. You find that balance, it'll load quick time. Plus, the more often you visit a property, the easier it'll load. Because the computer learns that what props are what. And now if you change a prop, and like I said, if you change a prop that's on forever, the computer might not register that that prop's been changed. And it won't load for that person. It'll just look like a blank dead prop. Now, how do I know this? Because I tested it. We do our rallies at saddlebags. That's why I started deleting the tents every year. That way I start with fresh tents every year. It'll slow load, but there's no lag. We've had up to 80 people and no lag at all. And everything loads. At least about a second time. Now, if you got 50 people in there and you try to load in the first time, no, everything's not going to load. Look at that. Bam. We're already here. And we got over 800 props. $879 props. We've almost got 900 props. Twice the amount of props that most of the rallies have got. So people, please, 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 please learn your balance. Use forever when it's supposed to be used on props that never changes. Use per session on small props and props that will change or might be changed. And use never on invisible props so people's computers don't have to remember those props until they're turned visible and changed to per session. In the meantime, peace out. Have a good one. Happy decoing. And if you got any questions, comments, or if you would like to know more information about this, you can always PM me. Send me an email, an inbox, or Skype, Discord, Facebook. I'm all over the place. And hope you enjoy. Peace out.